Story time while I lay down. Okay. Another story from this book. Going for a cheeseburger / Alyeska. Photo of the Turnagain arm. And us doing some, my mom and brothers doing some skiing. Oh, I'm down there. There we go. And Kelly and I. When Pete would get his crab check, parentheses, paycheck, we would go to Anchorage and call it going for a cheeseburger. It was more than a 5-hour drive one way, but we would do it to get out of town as much as anything. Sometimes we'd do the round trip all in one day. We'd eat at Taco Bell. Mine and Mom's favorite was at Enchilito. Other fast food and stock up at Costco. We would go through the car wash in our huge orange Bronco 3 times in a row just for the entertainment value. We drove through Turnagain Arm to get to Anchorage. It was very beautiful, but it could also be deadly if you were out on the water. Because of the funnel shape of the bay, when the high tide comes in, it was a bore tide, which is when the leading edge of the incoming tide creates a single, unbroken wave that could be as much as 7 feet high. The bore tide phenomenon only occurs in a handful of places in North America. The entire time we drove through that area, I would watch out the window just in case I got to see it, but I never did. When the tide was out, the sand and mud left behind was very similar to quicksand, so I also watched for animals or people stuck in it. Once we reached the Turnagain Arm, we knew we were either very close to Anchorage or farther than ever. In the winter, there were often avalanches that would close the road. One of the times we were blocked by an avalanche, we were a few miles away from the only ski resort in the area called Alyeska. When we found out the wait was going to be at least overnight, we turned around and went to the resort. It was a big splurge, and we didn't have the right equipment or clothes with us, but we went skiing for the first time. Kelly was about 7 and a total daredevil. He had no idea how to snowplow, to slow down, or how to make turns. New skiers don't use poles, so all he had was the rented skis. He pointed them straight down the hill, tucked in, and went as fast as he could all the way down. I just about had a heart attack on every run because I was supposed to be watching him, but I couldn't keep up. As the boys got older, Pete took them on a skiing trip at least once a year. They spent the evenings in the hotel watching Beavis and Butthead and Mystery Science Theater 3000, eating pizza. Pete would cross-country ski on the dog sled trails in Girdwood, while the boys went downhill skiing. Unfortunately, he couldn't hear the sled teams coming unless they happened to be barking. All of a sudden, 12 dogs and a sled would be practically on top of him, so he'd have to get out of the way in a hurry. The trails were carved out of the deep snow, and the walls were usually at least 4 feet high. He would dive in the snow and lay there with the skis in the air until the dogs passed. The next time you jump into a snowdrift, try to visualize Grandpa Pete jumping into one with skis on his feet and then trying to get back up. Too bad we don't have any pictures of that. Oh man, he was a very large man. So that would be really hard to get in out of that snow. All right, let's do Beluga Lake. So, got Pete out on the lake. The ice racers. Another ice racer. Moose, not at Beluga Lake, just picture. Beluga Lake was an important part of Homer. In the summer, it was a busy float plane airstrip. In the winter, it was used for ice skating as well as ice racing. I didn't really like skating on it because I never knew when I'd run over a stick or a soft spot and fall. Kelly and his friends loved to skate around the lake and shoot frozen moose turds with sticks. One of the games the boys also liked to play on the lake was popping methane bubbles with a stick and lighting them on fire, which would create a fireball. If it was really windy, they used their windbreakers as a sail and let it pull them across the lake. Another fun and dangerous activity was riding on inner tubes that were being pulled by trucks. It's the same as when you rode on an inner tube on the river being pulled by a boat, but on frozen water instead. We all enjoyed doing donuts on the lake in our car and watching the ice races. Every weekend, as long as the lake ice was thick enough, a snowplow would clear some of the snow and create a track. Most of the ice racing cars looked like a roll cage on wheels, but some looked pretty much like regular cars. It was fun watching them drive as fast as possible because there were often crashes into snow berms or other cars, and it was a good excuse for most of the town to get together. The winters got long and boring, so everyone was always looking for excuses to get out of the house. That's it for now.